let's dive right in. People who are self-absorbed, self-interested in their own success only, meaning seeking success for their own benefits, such as, I want to become a CEO because I don't want to listen to other bosses. I want to be my own boss. Or I want to just get a lot of money to show the world that I'm capable, to prove my parents that I'm better than them. These kind of things. Many things can motivate you towards success in this world, but it could be rooted from a selfish desire. And that attracts Tengus. And then when you attract Tengu, the second point was it steers you away from faith. Well, why is this? It's because you're so narcissistic. You have so much belief that you are great. Your ego bloats up to the level of the universe. So in Happy Science, we have a spiritual meditation called Being One with the Universe. That's a great meditation. But these people, they bloat their ego to the level of the universe, meaning they're the greatest. Their opinion is the best. This is what causes disharmony. Now, let's go into a little more details of what a Tengu is. The first one is they have the tendency to take things for granted. Spoiled people, simply put. And then the second thing, they have the tendency to be very assertive or pushy and makes them strong-willed. But strong-willed sounds nice, but more in negative terms, it means they're very stubborn. The third thing that we learned is when things go against them, they become rebellious and they're filled with ingratitude. And then the fourth point is people tend to end up being like the person they disliked. People tend to end up being like just like the person they disliked. So this is a very surprising, but Master talks about this teaching. He's talked about this a couple of times in the past already. Now, why is this a Tengu mind? They can see other people's minds, so they are sharp. They can detect other people's shortcomings and other people's, strengths too. They can see them, but because they don't see their own mind, the fact that they can see that means they have that in their own mind. That's why they're aware of the other people's shortcomings. And then the fifth point, they tend to fail after a promotion. Why does this occur? Master talks about a tendency of a person who has a Tengu mind, who, you know how I said earlier that they are self-absorbed, they love the success they've had in the past. Have you ever heard of something in business called the Peter's Law? So this means, it's like Master talks about a couple times in the Japanese lecture. He said it's a law, it's a principle where when someone is promoted, they make a mistake because they do the same thing as they were when they were one rank below. But a Tengu, when they are promoted, because they're so self-absorbed in the past, they're not prepared for the future. They think it's fine what they do right now. It's okay. I will prepare once I get there. That's all they're thinking. But then once they're bumped up, because they haven't been prepared, they fall. But going back to the 6 points, they dislike following orders, rules, or in more concrete terms, they hate innovation. They hate following new trend. So what does this mean? If it's a direction that they gave, they're okay with it. But if it's a direction that came from somewhere else, and if they don't like it, they dislike following it. So they hate following rules or directions that's given from the higher ups. And so these were the 6 points that Master has taught us. In this Kyoten, Master is saying, anyone can become a Tengu. Anyone. Why is that? He states in this Kyoten, the reason of becoming one can be found in 6 worldly delusions, which is greed, anger, foolishness, pride, doubt, and wrong views. Page 56 of this Kyoten, Master says these 3 lines on the bottom of the slide. Not being able to accept your mistakes or other people's advice results in having a Tengu mind. if that's the case, Master in the last part, he talks about the six worldly delusions leads us to a Tengu mind. Why is this? Because if you have greed, if you're full of greed, do you think you can listen to other people's advice of you should let that go? You can't. You'd rather take than letting go. And then let's look at the next one. If you're angry, if you're always angered, if you're always furious, it's probably because you feel you're in the side of just, or you're right. That's why you're angry, right? So that means you can't listen to other people's advice. Now the third one, foolishness. This is pretty, I guess, obvious. Some people are foolish. In a recent book that I was reading, he described foolishness as if a fly has came into your house. Have you ever noticed that because you want to get it out, you open the door, right? It's like, shoo, get out. And then they start flying that way. And they're like, yes, it's gonna go out. But all of a sudden they switch, like they moved course and they hit a window. And they just keep on hitting the window. It's like, if they're just a couple inches below, they can go out the door, but they're just hitting the window. So Master is saying a person who is foolish is like this fly. Because they don't know that if they don't know the concept of glass. They don't know the concept of a window. So they go flying thinking that I'm free, but then hits the window. But then he does it again and just does it over and over again. And in the end, they go back all the way even more inside and they never get out. So what he means, it's pretty simple, right? Knowledge is a path to happiness. Knowing is actually a path to happiness. And the state of not knowing is foolishness. So if you're foolish, let's say that someone from a more enlightened position, more experienced position, tries to give you an advice. If you're foolish, it's like, no, I see that this is a clear, there's no obstacles. I can see through. If I can see through, it means there's nothing obstructing it. If there's nothing obstructing it, it means physically I'm supposed to go through this. It's a fly trying to tell a human being that it doesn't work. And this is a funny analogy, but if you think about it, if you really think about it, we tend to do this a lot in our lives. And then the next one, pride. This is simple, right? If you're proud, if you think you're number one, obviously it doesn't feel good to be even given an advice. The moment you are given an advice, you have this feeling. It's like, that's a Tengu mind. It means that you're too proud of yourself. And then the fifth one is doubt. If you're always doubtful towards Buddha's truth or other people, obviously you can't listen to it. And then here's the scary one, ladies and gentlemen, that's hurting humanity in the modern times so much. Wrong views. Wrong views. Come to think of it, why is wrong views so prevalent in this world? Master actually clearly explained this. One way he explained it was, we are living in the age of information democracy. Information democracy. Meaning, anyone can be authors now. Anyone can share their opinion through a social network platform. So back then, during the times of the Age of Enlightenment, 17th, 18th century, what occurred? Great philosophers took a long time to write a book, and then people would read it. And every time they would read a book, I don't know if you guys know this, but all the papers used to be sealed. So what they would do is they would take a cutter and they would cut each page open to gain the new knowledge that was being published to the world. That means knowledge was much more sophisticated compared to modern days. But because so much information is flooding now, it has led to the lowering of the level of information. Hence, that's one reason for why there's a lot of wrong views. And if you are painted with wrong views, what happens is, obviously, you won't be able to listen to people's advice. So as you can see, all of these 6 worldly delusions leads us to not accepting, oh, here's the first one, to not being able to accept your own mistake. I was just taking it from the angle of other people's advice, but you yourself won't be even able to self-reflect if you have these 6 poisons of the mind. So anyone can become a Tengu.